The following is a paid program brought to you by Mark Evans Media, LLC.
If you focus on these things, then it'll make great improvement in your relationship.
You gotta know why you're standing at the plate. I'm amazed by the number of people who get distracted in life.
The tangible results that we saw, I felt like were immediate.
Every week, how do you get ready to make sure you make the most of your life?
He's very good at helping you through life in general.
Mark Evans offers practical biblical solutions for the problems and pressures in life.
Maybe it's not so much about changing jobs, it might be about making changes in you. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that you are having a great day. You know, today we're going to ask the question, when I look at my life, what am I building? What is it that I am really trying to build and do with my life? One thing that I've learned that is so important to me, that I think will be important to you, is that you must never forget that there is no shortcut to excellence. There's no way around it. You got to work to get there. There is no shortcut. Listen to this.
Visit PastorMarkEvans.com for Mark's special TV offer. Download Mark Evans' entire book, Win at Life Wisdom, 30 Days of Passion, Priority, and Purpose for only $10. Receive Part 1 of Mark Evans' Passion DVD series for only $15, normally $49.95, plus free shipping. Or download it to watch right away. For more books, audio CDs, DVDs, visit PastorMarkEvans.com or call 1-800-367-2870.
When I look at my life, now what is it that I'm building when we take all of the things together that we've learned about how I lead my life? If you're going to ask that, all right, how do I lead my life? Then you've got to ask the question, all right, so what am I? What am I building in leading my life? Where is all of this headed? Right at 2 years ago, the Arkansas Travelers had a reunion of players and coaches. And it was a reunion back during the time when in high school, growing up in high school, I worked for them. I started out at 10 years old as a bat boy and then became, as most of you know, I was a clubhouse manager, equipment manager for them, and up until I graduated high school. So it was a reunion of a 10-year stretch of time for all of those players and coaches. And they invited me to come to it, and I was asked me to speak and to tell stories. And I told stories that aren't suitable for church telling, okay? They sat me at a table of all players from that time period that I knew well, and all of these players were in the major leagues at some capacity at this time, okay? They were a coach, a manager, a scout, at some capacity, they had made it to the major leagues. So as the conversations were swirling, a lot of them hadn't seen each other in years. They got to the point in the conversation in the evening where they were discussing players who had become coaches, and their first job in coaching was a major league job. And they were talking about how that was not going to pan out well for them in the long run. They were talking about particular teams and team executives who had made these decisions to all of a sudden take this player who had retired and put them on a major league staff as a coach. And as they were going about it, one of the guys said, you know, the biggest problem with all of those guys that we're talking about is that they hadn't paid their dues. And I knew right off the bat, you know, what that phrase meant. They were predicting that after the current talent on their team wore down, that those coaches were going to crash and burn. And so I asked them the question, all right, so why? What's the big deal? Why is that? And Jim Riggleman quickly popped up, and Jim is a coach for the Cincinnati Reds. Jim quickly popped up, and he said, because, Mark, in baseball, there are no shortcuts. Huh. And that is your Lead My Life lesson. Is that you must never forget that there is no shortcut to excellence. You must never forget that there is no shortcut to excellence. Because that which is true in the major leagues is also true in life. Is that when it comes to excellence, there are no shortcuts. It is so true in building your life. Have you ever looked at your life and asked the question, so what am I building? What am I building? A lot of times in the Bible will use metaphors to teach a point. A lot of metaphors in the Bible are agricultural. That, like, you reap what you what? Sow. That we're called to bear fruit. They're agricultural terms, okay, that are used. But sometimes the Bible will use architectural terms. And when architectural terms are used, that always implies that a lot of work is required. That a lot of work is going to be required, because it's one thing to plant a seed and watch it grow. But it's totally another thing to build something from the ground up. It's one thing if you're going to plant a seed and watch it grow, but if you're going to build something from the ground up, it's different. And so in those times when what God's Word is teaching is trying to really drive home the issue of some serious, deep work in your life, God will always use architectural terms to communicate that. Why? Because people, most of the time, don't like to build. We just don't. Typically, we just don't like to build. Most people like to get something ready. That is ready, something that is new, something that no building is required. Some of you are just like me. If you're at the store and you've gone to buy something at the store that is some object, something that it's some tangible object, and you go to the shelf and you see it there in the box. If you're like me, if I look at that box and it has 2 words on it, assembly required, I am going to turn and walk away, okay? I will turn and walk away every time. If there is assembly required, I'm done. Now, if it's at Home Depot, I will go ask them, don't you have somebody I can pay $25 to do this, okay? And many times they will, okay? Because that whole you can do it yourself thing, no, that's not working with me, okay? Building, you see, people don't like building because building can be stressful.
Visit PastorMarkEvans.com for Mark's special TV offer. Download Mark Evans' entire book, When in Life Wisdom, 30 Days of Passion, Priority, and Purpose for only $10. Receive Part 1 of Mark Evans' Passion DVD series for only $15, normally $49.95, plus free shipping. Or download it to watch right away. For more books, audio CDs, DVDs, visit PastorMarkEvans.com or call 1-800-367-2870.
When I am a doer of the word, I will dig for the rock. When I am a doer of the word, I will dig for the rock. look here at verse 48. If I'm going to be a doer of the word, then I'm going to dig for the rock. They are like a man building a house. Underline that, a man building a house. And then underline dug down deep. And then underline laid the foundation on rock. Look at it. He dug down deep and laid the foundation on the rock. What Jesus is telling us, when you do the word, not just hear it, but when you actually do the word, you are like the man who dug down deep to build his house, making sure the foundation was solid, making sure the foundation would hold your life. So many times, it's well known that a Christian's biggest problem that goes to church, a Christian that goes to church all the time, their biggest problem is that they fall into a trap of thinking that just hearing the Bible taught every week is enough. But you've actually got to put it into practice. You have got to, as Jesus says here, dig down deep. You've got to dig for rock. But as you're digging down deep, you have to watch out for sinkholes. That's a big problem. A person's life may have many sinkholes. You got to watch out for them. Speaking of the Arkansas Travelers, you see their outfield at Dickey Stevens Park has sinkholes in it. And so the city of North Little Rock has just decided how they're going to fix these sinkholes in the outfield. They're going to spend $350,000 to fix the sinkholes, to repair the foundation. The point? It's expensive for you to repair your foundation. It is expensive for you to repair your foundation. I know when we lived in Florida, really until we lived in Florida, I hadn't heard anything about sinkholes. I didn't know they were a real deal. And then in the neighborhood we lived in, probably 10 blocks, 15 blocks over from our house, one day a sinkhole just appeared in the middle of the street. Just there. Then you would hear about people's houses that would just disappear in a sinkhole one afternoon. Just gone. See, in your life, if you are going to do the work necessary to build a strong life, you have got to dig down deep in your life. Why? Why? Because here's your key right there in your notes. My life can look good on the surface, but underneath I am in trouble. My life can look good on the surface, but underneath I am in trouble. That's why you have to dig deep. It's because you've got to get all the junk out. If you will dig down deep and get all of the junk out, it'll allow you to get past all of the sinkholes. Because remember what we have learned in this series that I've taught repeatedly. When we learned about Moses and his interaction with his father-in-law, God wants to draw things out of you. But you know that if God's going to draw things out of you, that means he's got to get past all of the junk in your life. So, here's the principle. As you are digging down deep, everything that isn't solid gets out of your way. If you really do the work of being a doer of the word, and you're decided in my life, I am going to dig down till I get to the rock, then as you're digging, everything that is not solid is going to get out of your way. I mean, when the shovel in your life starts digging down, things start moving. Circumstances start having to be dealt with. Money problems start having to be faced. People that you thought were your friends will run. Because you are deciding, I am going to be different. I am going to dig down deep. And digging down deep means I have got to push away a lot of the things in my life that have been sinkholes. I mean, what's the sinkhole in your life? What is the one thing that repeatedly, over a period of years, has sunk you time and time again? Those are the things that you have got to dig down and dig past. See what this guy does? Jesus says he digs down deep until he hits rock. So you've got to dig down past your limitations. You've got to dig down past your insecurities. You've got to dig down past how you see yourself. You've got to be able to dig down and be willing to dig down past the lies you've always told yourself. I mean, you know that some of you have lied for so long to yourself, you believe your lies now. And that's a problem because it is a huge sinkhole for you. So get that shovel out and dig past all those things.
Visit PastorMarkEvans.com for Mark's special TV offer. Download Mark Evans' entire book, Win at Life Wisdom, 30 Days of Passion, Priority, and Purpose for only $10. Receive Part 1 of Mark Evans' Passion DVD series for only $15, normally $49.95, plus free shipping. Or download it to watch right away. For more books, audio CDs, DVDs, visit PastorMarkEvans.com or call 1-800-367-2870.
This passage teaches us, when I am only a hearer of the word, I will neglect the preparation. When I am only a hearer of the word, I will neglect the preparation. Don't miss here that preparation takes time. I want you to make a note of that somewhere. Preparation takes time. The process that God uses to prepare you to lead your life takes time. How do I lead my life? It takes time to get that process going, to get ready. It is a slow-cooked process. It is not microwavable. It takes time. It is not quick. In what Jesus is talking about here, the person who built without the foundation, that person had the choice to do that. Think about that. The person who built without foundation chose that. Made that choice. And we would all say, well, that is obviously a failure waiting to happen. Yes. And you know that a person who builds their life without a foundation is a failure waiting to happen. It takes time. And what Isaiah says, they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. That it is a process. So stop trying to fast track God. Just stop trying to fast track God. Now, allow it to take time. And this is the time here. This is the time in leading your life that you're not going to listen to what the dream killers tell you. This is the time in leading your life that you're not going to allow somebody else who tells you that you can't do that. God's not going to cause you to do that. God's not going to lead you to do that. This is where you say, I am not going to fall victim to you killing the dream God's put in me, the passion God's put in me, the purpose God's put into me. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to listen to that. Now, I cannot tell you. When I was starting Rock Creek, I had people close to me try to stop me. I had people, pastors in this city, write me letters, okay, that tell me that this was going to fail. This right here, in leading your life, this right here is the time when you say, no, I'm not going to just be a hearer of what God's told me and led me to do. I'm going to take the time necessary to do the preparation and the hard work to do it. You know, I had to decide. I had to decide that I know what I believed that God had planted in me. I know what I believed were the seeds that God had put in me. Here's your key. There in your notes. Preparation begins when my beliefs impact my behavior. Preparation begins when my beliefs impact my behavior. That's when real preparation happens. When the beliefs that I have start impacting what I do. You're no longer just hearing the word, but I am going to become a doer of the word. It's not just hearing, it is doing. It is walking down the path. Number 3, when I am a doer of the word. Number 3, when I am a doer of the word, I will prepare for the path God has for me. When I am a doer of the word, I will prepare for the path God has for me. You know, I know, and we've talked about this in this series, that in leading my life, God has a path for you to walk down. And when you're walking down the path, you've decided, I'm going to be a doer of the word, and I am going to prepare for that path. Walking down the path builds the foundation. Hear me. While you're walking down the path, you are building the foundation. Your life is not just about the destination, it's also about the journey. And it's very possible that the journey is more important than the destination. So remember that. It's the struggle, it's the fighting, it's the praying, it's the temptation, it's the aggravation, it's the frustration. Because on the path, you learn things about God you didn't know. On the path, you learn things about you that you didn't know. So that's where the foundation is built. As a doer of the word, I'm saying I'm going to prepare for the path that God has for me. And you'll learn things about yourself you didn't know. You'll learn things dealing with the obstacles that you'll have to deal with that you didn't know were in you. You'll learn things about dealing with the toxic people that you have to deal with in your life that you didn't know were in you. You will learn things about the aggravations, dealing with those aggravations. You didn't know that you could handle them in that way. You see, when you're doing this, while you are doing this, you know what you're doing? You're digging deeper. That's what this is. You are digging deeper. Now, this whole story, this whole passage here that Jesus is talking about, this is not about the soil. This architectural illustration is not about the soil. It's about the prep work. It's about the preparation. The man, the Bible says, dug to the rock. He dug to the rock. And he kept digging until he hit the rock. He didn't stop digging. That's what's so important to point out to you. He kept digging until he hit the rock. See, the problem for this man here is not the conditions that he's dealing with. The problem is not the conditions, the problem is the discipline. One had the discipline, the other didn't. One had the discipline to keep digging, the other didn't have the discipline. You see, both of these men had the same conditions. Both of these men's conditions were not conducive to building. That's why they had to dig deep, but only one of them did it. In the Christian's life, it's the perfect illustration. It's why as a pastor, now for 20 years of the same people, you see people a lot of times come and go. Here a year, gone 2 years. Something happens in their life, back a year. Then gone 2 years. Then something happens. You see what's happening? They're not doing the disciplined work of digging deep. Only one of these men in this story decided that he was going to dig deep. Only one of these men decided that he was going to chase purpose. Here's your take home, your takeaway here of this point, is that God's purpose justifies my preparation.
Visit PastorMarkEvans.com for Mark's special TV offer. Download Mark Evans' entire book, When in Life Wisdom, 30 Days of Passion, Priority, and Purpose for only $10. Receive Part 1 of Mark Evans' Passion DVD series for only $15, normally $49.95, plus free shipping. Or download it to watch right away. For more books, audio CDs, DVDs, visit PastorMarkEvans.com or call 1-800-367-2870.
So I hope that you get it. You get that when you look at your life and understand what are you building, that you've got to look at the foundation of your life and ask yourself, all right, how is the foundation of my life? What am I building my life on? And am I building my life on something that will last? Not something that'll sink in, but something that will last. Because the strength of your life a lot of times is going to be determined by the strength of your foundation. And remember, it takes time, it takes work, it takes discipline. Because there is no shortcut to excellence. We all have to pay our dues. We all have to work hard. We're never going to find a shortcut to get to become the person that God created us to be. Remember that. And I hope that you have a great week.
I think anybody could get help from Mark Evans. I think that if you're not working towards improving your relationship, then you are losing ground.
I guess the biggest thing Mark's done for me is given me the critical thinking process for business and personal life to make life easier.
Mark Evans is produced by Ron Sherman Productions. That's RonShermanProductions.com. The proceeding was a paid program brought to you by Mark Evans Media, LLC.